Hi CSU Physio students, this is part 3 of a 4-part series on what to look for in your first job. The idea of this is that I can share some information with you to help you make sense of the current job market and help you make the best decision. So today we're talking about work-life balance, and what we're really talking about here in a physiotherapy context is preventing burnout and maintaining positive energy. And what I mean by that is that physiotherapy is a really rewarding career and job to be in. It can be really rewarding, really inspiring, but it does take energy out of you. Seeing lots of patients per week does take something out of you, and so you need to be able to balance that with things that give you energy back. And so what I want to do in this short video is talk about 2 factors which are highly likely to influence how much sort of burnout you feel in relation to your job. And they are the hours that you work and also the appointment length. So let's talk about hours first. So the first thing I've put there is query full-time. I know lots of physios who don't work full-time, and for some people their work may not be their highest priority, and so that means that they can work part-time. And I've also seen that for new grads who don't necessarily work full-time hours. So that's one question for you, is do you want to work full-time hours? Perhaps you have some other things on in life which mean that you would rather work part-time. Having said that, a lot of new graduates do want to work full-time hours, which is a 76-hour fortnight. And so there's different ways that can look like depending on the clinic that you're working in. So one option would be that you work a 7.6 hour day times 5 days a week. This is your standard sort of 9 to 5 day. And that means you've got a relatively short day. Another option, which most clinics will offer, is that you work 4 long days. So something like 9 hours times 4 days. Now that can work, but it does have some disadvantages, which is you've got to stick out those 4 long days, and they can feel quite long if you're doing 4 in a row, for example. And the other thing about those long days is that it can make it difficult to get to something outside of work. So if you have football or netball training that starts at 5:30 or 6 in the evening and you're doing these long days, that can make it challenging to get to those other activities. So sometimes you have to sort of balance that. A third option, which many clinics do now, is this option where we have an 8.5 hour day times 4 days. So it's 4 sort of slightly longer days. And then you've just got to do an extra 4 hours on your 5th day, and that will make up your full-time hours. Now, if you can find a good clinic, they'll often say that you can do that on a Friday. So what that means is you work 4 longish days, you have a half day on a Friday, and you have a 2.5 day weekend every weekend. That can be appealing because it means that you can get further afield from Albury-Wodonga, for example. It gives you half a day of travel if you need to, or if you want to go down to Melbourne or up to the snow, you can do that, and you've still got your normal weekend on top of that. So this is just to show you that full-time hours can look different depending on the clinic, and really the key there is flexibility. Can a clinic offer you flexibility so that you can choose one of these options that really works for you or suits you? The second thing that I'd like to talk about is appointment length. So what we're talking about is how long do you have for your patients, and this is both new patients and review patients. This is important. If you see a new patient, if you're expected to see a new patient in 30 minutes versus see them in 45 minutes, it makes a big difference to how much energy you have at the end of your working day. Likewise for your review patients, 30 minutes versus 20 minutes, it might not sound like much, but if you've got a full day and you're seeing patients on 30-minute intervals, you'll see 15 at the end of the day. If you're seeing them on 20-minute intervals, you'll see 22. I can guarantee you that you will feel more exhausted having solved 22 patients' problems than having solved 15 patients' problems. So that just gives you a little bit of information about flexibility in terms of hours and appointment length. These are two variables which will influence how much energy your work takes out of you, and therefore how well you can avoid burnout and maintaining positive energy. Hope that helps you out. Put any comments down below, and see you on the next video.